What a crazy weekend. It's good to be back, and there's so much to talk about. We have a big media story, free speech story, censorship story. Actually, it's really just a media story. Advertisers are fleeing Fox News propagandist Tucker Carlson's program. Why? Because of constantly racially charged and, quite frankly, boring and predictable nonsense that is totally toxic. And right away, the whole I don't really understand the First Amendment crowd is out in force defending Tucker Carlson against First Amendment, not Second Amendment, First Amendment misunderstandings and so-called charges of censorship. But what we're actually seeing is the marketplace of ideas that these right wingers claim to want. And I'm going to get to that a little bit later after explaining to you what took place. Being associated with Tucker Carlson's program is bad for some advertisers in the marketplace, and they are making the decision to bail. So just the other day, Tucker Carlson said on his show, the protests aren't really about Black lives and that ominously they will come for you. It wasn't clear when he said it if he meant Black people or who. Later claimed that he meant, Democrats, I guess. Here's what he had to say.
This may be a lot of things, this moment we're living through, but it is definitely not about Black lives. And remember that when they come for you, and at this rate, they will. Anyone who's ever been subjected to the rage of the mob knows the feeling. It's like being swarmed by hornets. You cannot think clearly.
A bunch of companies that had been advertising on Tucker Carlson's program decided to pull their advertising because of that and other clips. It wasn't just one thing, apparently. This includes Disney. This includes Papa John's Pizza, which is historically a horrible, horrible company, a T-Mobile, Poshmark, and some other brands. So in a second, we're going to talk about the free speech and censorship component to this, because the misunderstandings that are floating around are disturbing in terms of the lack of understanding of anything related to speech and censorship that they portray. But I want to be really extra super clear about something here. I said this is just business, and this is just business. It's a market decision that's being made by these companies. Papa John's said they are deciding to stop all advertising on opinion shows in general. It's not that they're particularly upset with what Tucker said. They're making a business decision to pull advertising from all opinion programs. The other advertisers, the Papa John's and other advertisers, they're not bailing on Fox News. They're not saying the problem is that Fox is so harebrained that they allow Tucker Carlson a platform to say this stuff. They're just moving from Tucker Carlson to other Fox News shows that are less under the microscope. Fox News said that these departures aren't causing a financial hit because it's just moving money from Tucker's show to other shows. So these are not political decisions in general, in the sense that these are companies that are still okay sending money to Fox News, and they are okay with Fox News carrying water in general for Donald Trump and the terrible ideas espoused by Donald Trump and by the network. But they're not going to do it on Tucker Carlson's show because it's just become a negative attention getter, so to speak. So now that gets us to the First Amendment free speech component, which for me is really the most interesting thing. A whole bunch of Trump supporting right wingers are saying this is censorship of Tucker Carlson. There's a free speech violation, First Amendment, fill in the blanks with your generic censorship concern trolling language. And then let's debunk these claims one by one. First of all, this has nothing to do with the First Amendment. This is the participants here are advertisers, a TV channel, and a TV host and the audience. First Amendment is not a factor here. The government is not abridging anyone's speech whatsoever. So First Amendment into the trash, out the window. Second, this is how capitalism and the marketplace of ideas works. Understand that there's no coercion happening here. There's, the non-aggression principle, people should be pleased. Tucker Carlson can choose, I guess he's allowed to say whatever he wants on his program, and that may have repercussions. Fox News is totally free, no coercion. Fox News can choose to employ Tucker or not. They may have a particular contract with him where if they pull him off the air, they still got to pay him, but they and Tucker Carlson agreed on that contract with no government intervention. Advertisers can choose to advertise on any show they want or not to for any reason. They can say, I don't like the suits that Tucker Carlson wears, or I don't like what Tucker Carlson says. They are free to decide however they want to or not to advertise on any particular program. Viewers like you can choose to watch or not watch Tucker Carlson. Viewers can choose to contact advertisers and say, if you advertise with Tucker, I will no longer buy your stuff. Or they could say, unless you advertise with Tucker, I won't buy your stuff. Everybody's free to do whatever they want, period. And interestingly, the advertiser can choose, again, non-aggression, no coercion. If you're an advertiser and people start writing to you saying, you'd better stop advertising with Tucker, or you'd better start advertising with Tucker, either way, the advertiser can choose to listen to those people or not. Everybody gets to make their choices. Now, you're going to hear some people pop up, and they're either ignorant or they're concern trolling. And they will say, if you email a company and say, I will not buy your stuff if you do X or Y, like advertising with Tucker, that's coercion. It's not coercion. It's called speech. There's no violence. It's a marketplace. This is literally what the free marketeers claim to want. I, as a buyer, can choose to buy or not buy a product for any reason that is important to me. I, as a buyer, am free to tell a company why I am buying their product or why I am not buying their product, and the company can choose whether to pay attention to me or whether to tell me to go to hell and do whatever they want. The company can decide, if we advertise with Tucker, we're going to lose 1,000 customers, but we might gain 2,000 because his audience is so big. And that extra 1,000 customers is worth it to us, despite the PR problem that it might cause us to advertise with Tucker Carlson. And they can decide whatever they want. The market is actually regulating itself here without violence or government intervention. The right-wingers should be cheering this, but they're not. They want to frame it as a liberal mob trying to hurt someone's ability to earn a living. We don't even know, by the way, whether Tucker's income is affected by the number of advertisers his show has. It may not be. We don't know. They are pathetic and they are predictable and they're so boring. I mean, it's getting so old that they either don't understand or pretend not to understand how markets and free speech and censorship actually work. If you love feeding your intellectual curiosity, but you're always struggling to find the time, check out one of my all-time favorite apps called Blinkist. Blinkist lets you consume an entire book on your way home from work. They take thousands of popular nonfiction books, condense each one into text or audio that you can get through in just 15 minutes, and you get all of the important core ideas and information from that book. It's perfect if you don't have enough time to do all the reading you want to do, or if you just want to sample a book before you buy the entire thing. I recently read A Brief History of Time, of course, by the great Stephen Hawking. This is a book that I have been aware of for so long, and other things got in the way, and it was fantastic to check it out on Blinkist. Blinkist has books on politics, philosophy, science. They have 27 different nonfiction categories, and a subscription is only about $8 a month, and you get the entire library. But you can try it totally free and get 25% off a subscription when you go to Blinkist.com/Pakman. I've put the link right underneath this video.